This situation, it's everywhere, isn't it? Jack Grealish hitting back at our chum, our Monday colleague Graeme Souness. I'm just looking at the Times. I'll just select one newspaper. There it is. Grealish, I take criticism of parents, but not Souness. I don't know what his issue is.
So is Graeme bullying people? I know what that feels like, because ever since Graham's come in the studio, he's been trying to bully me.
Oh, has he?
So I do feel that I can relate to what Jack Grealish is experiencing.
All right, well, let's recap. This is where we're at. Grealish with the FA yesterday's on England duty, hit back at Graeme following the comments that Graeme made on this show on Tuesday this week. In fact, this was Graeme on Jack.
Jack Grealish is a good footballer. For me, he's not a great player. He's a good player who has got a big move and has yet to do it at Man City for me. I mean, I go back to his days at Aston Villa where I think they were in the Premier League for 2 years, and for both years he was the most foul player in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now, I see that two ways. I see it that you're having too many touches if you're the most foul player, and the reason you're having too many touches is because you're not seeing the picture quick enough. And I understand why people think he's better than what he actually is, because he runs with the ball, he gets you on the edge of your seat. But he doesn't deliver enough. He doesn't see the right picture, and he doesn't deliver it quick enough.
This was Jack yesterday when he was on England duty.
He was, and obviously a great player, and won a lot. But I know he has a lot of stuff to. I don't know what it is with his, with what he says about me or what problem he's got. I know my own ability. I know before that he used to say a lot of stuff about me not moving the ball quicker, but when I'm playing for a manager like Pep Guardiola and he's telling me, to keep the ball as much as I can, that's what I'll try and do. I know that there was games, especially in the second half of last season, where I weren't at my best at all. When I obviously signed for Man City and the price and stuff that come with it, I knew, it weren't going to be all laughs unless I started the way Erling Haaland did then. I think that's the only way that I wouldn't get caned. So, I'm not going to sit here and say nothing ever don't affect me, because it does sometimes. I'm a 27-year-old kid. So yeah, I've obviously had to learn to deal with that.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Jack, he respects Graeme and respected what Graeme did in the game, because the man only won 3 European Cups when he was with Liverpool.
Graeme hasn't put his hand up in the middle of an empty room saying, "Oh, by the way, we're not talking about this, but I want to talk about Jack Grealish." He's talked about a narrative that's been built up by certain sections of the media, the same media that sit in front of Jack Grealish and don't ask him the questions and the observations that they've made. We saw one of them yesterday talking about Jack and how difficult it must be to listen. You get plenty of praise. Graeme is giving you a critical... He didn't say you were ugly or you look gormless or you walk around with a ridiculous Alice band that I've said. Graeme made a critical football evaluation based upon his perception. And Jack Grealish hasn't hit back. He hasn't blasted anybody.
No.
He's just corrected Graham's vantage point.
Well, nonetheless, Jack is baffled that Graeme has any kind of problem with him. So what is his problem? Graeme, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
We're very good, thank you so much, Graeme. Thanks for joining us. Jack is baffled that you have
Morning, Simon.
Yeah, here he is.
Morning, great.
Jack is baffled that you have a problem with him, Graeme.
I don't have a problem with Jack at all. I think Jack, as I said, is a good player. Technically, he's fantastic. But I've been a really good technician. It's only a small part of the game, or a part of the game.
I mean, this is everywhere now, Graeme. It's in the Times. It's in your newspaper, the Mail.
Player.
Go on.
I don't believe we can be critical of the modern player. I said, I was the Man United, because I'm Liverpool connections. When I was having a go at Paul Pogba, it was because it was Man United, and I think I was the first one to call Pogba out as being an average player in our league. And I think I was proved 100% right at the end of the day. So, Jack, I'm sure if I met Jack, I'd really like Jack. I think he's a cheeky chappy. I'd like to have a night out with him as well. But I just think the modern player just doesn't take criticism very well. Jack and I have something else in common, Jim and Simon.
Bad dress sense.
He is the most expensive transfer between two English clubs. I was that when I went from Middlesbrough to Liverpool. That was never an issue for me. No one ever spoke about it that I can remember. And if they had done, It would mean I wasn't doing the business. I wasn't living up to expectations. But I can never remember being talked about in that vein. And if I had been, it would have been like a bit of dandruff. It would not have affected me at all. I think Jack, you listen who you want to listen to. I think, I'm on talkSPORT with you guys, which I'm loving. Most of it, Simon. I have a column with the Daily Mail, which I got a chance to express my opinion. And I'm on Sky. I'm paid to offer my opinion.
Yeah,
I've been over 50 years in the game. I think I'm entitled to an opinion. I just feel, and I come back to it, don't be so precious. Don't, I don't have a vendetta against anyone at all.
Yeah.
It's my opinion at this time on Jack Grealish. And really, Jack doesn't have to listen to me. He doesn't have to listen to anyone. The only opinion that counts for Jack Grealish should be the manager.
But what he's basically saying is it's everywhere, though, Graeme. I mean, the power. We're delighted to say this. You know the power of this show, and you've actually added to the power of this show. It's everywhere. He hears it in the training ground. He was talking about it on England duty yesterday, and the boy's saying, "I'm still young yet." In a roundabout way, are you trying to help get the best out of Grealish by being constructively critical of him?
Yeah, I think I saw on Jack. I mean, Jack has he's got dribbling ability that very few people have. Very few people have. And that kind of ability gets you on the edge of your seat. But you've got to deliver at the end of it. It's not just about dribbling past one, dribbling past two, and then giving it away when you try to take on the third one. It's about I tell you how the game was explained to me at Liverpool. And can I just go back and this is something I've only thought about recently in my life. How lucky was I that I was a student to Jock Stein, to Bob Paisley, to Joe Fagan, to Ronnie Moran, latterly Alex Ferguson. How lucky was I to learn at the feet of those, football people? They don't get any bigger. And this is the way the game was explained to me. If you're in a team of 11 and you've got two strikers, the other 9 are just the hod carriers. They're there to serve the 2 guys that play up front. They're the ones that get the goals. They're the ones that get the points in the bag, and they're the ones that win you the games. So everybody else in the team is there to serve them. And serving them in the best possible way, I'm simplifying the game. The best way to service them is get the ball to them as quickly and as accurately as you possibly can. Don't dwell on it unnecessarily. Don't be clever when you don't need to be clever. At Liverpool, they would say, only show me how clever you are with the ball when you can't move at 1 and 2 touch. That's the game of football in a nutshell. The rest of the team are the hod carriers, the maestros, the badge kissers, the ones that go to the crowd, are the 2 guys, or if it is 2 guys, put the ball in the net. The rest of us were only there to serve them.
Got it. So there's no agenda from you to Jack, is there?
Absolutely. No, I said I'd love a night out with him. I'm not sure if I could stay with him, but I think I would enjoy a night out with him. I have that. And he has to pick and choose who he listens to. He might think my opinion is not worth listening to. I can live with that.
Well, he listens to you.
He only has to listen to his own manager. That's the only one he has to impress.
Graeme, in your new role as a counsellor, do you see the response that Jack's given in terms of what Pep Guardiola? You made an observation, rightly or wrongly, and I don't think you're steering into unfair criticism. I think you're being asked a question about Jack Grealish and you're responding to the question that's being asked. And the bottom line is the media are driving an initiative behind the scenes to say that Jack Grealish wants to leave Man City and potentially not happy. So that perplexes me. But going to the point that Jack said, which was Guardiola is asking him to play a certain way, which seems to be in direct contrast to the observation that you've made, which is he doesn't see the bigger picture, he doesn't release the ball early enough. He's saying his coach, that has won the Premier League 4 times out of the last 5, is telling him to do the precise opposite to what you're suggesting he should be doing.
Yeah, well, I've explained my thinking on football. I don't believe that's changed anywhere in the world. The only guys that matter are the 2 guys, if it is 2 strikers, or the guys.
But we're making an implicit observation on Jack.
Get the ball
Graeme,
as quickly, as accurately as you can to them.
But he's pushing back on what you've said.
Yeah, but what Graeme is saying, Graeme, to be honest, Simon, comes into play when you look at how City do it.
Yeah.
Because, one of the 2 up front's Haaland, and he can't miss at the moment.
Yeah, but they won the league without Haaland last year, so I'm not sure what the point that is. But what the point is, Graeme, is that he is responding to your observations. Does he have merit in the point that he's made? Because he's citing, arguably, the best domestic manager in the last 30 years, or certainly the last 10 years, and certainly the last 5 years in this country.
What, in terms of holding on to the ball as long as you can?
Well, you've made an observation about the fact he doesn't see the bigger picture and doesn't release the ball quick enough and gets fouled too many times because he holds the ball too long. He's saying, hang on a second, Guardiola says the exact opposite.
I cannot believe that any coach anywhere would tell their players to hold on to the ball as long as they can.
Okay,
anywhere.
so Jack's telling fibs in.
I'll go for it. Anywhere, anytime in the history of professional game. Hold on to the ball as long as you can. No.
Fair enough.
The best pass in football.
Graeme,
best pass in football is a first-time pass.
Or the right pass.
Yeah. He would. Well, I think Graeme knows what he's talking about, Simon, with due respect. I think Jack would love to be involved.
Let's blow some more smoke whilst we're here.
In the game against Italy, in the game against Germany. Listen, if you've got a message for him, Mr. Souness, what would it be?
Again, if I was working with him, I'd ask him to move the ball a bit quicker. I would explain the game to him the way I've just said. The only guys who matter are the guys who find themselves in the box with an opportunity to score a goal. Get the ball to him as quick and as early and as accurately as you can.
Graeme, listen, thanks so much for joining us. Go on, you got one final point.
No, it's not good having lots of touches outside the box and showing how cute you are outside the box. You're in the game of football to score goals. That's why, whatever structure you play, whatever system you play, whatever you adopt, the whole idea is to score goals. It's not about showing how clever you are in the wider areas or pirouetting in the middle of the park. It's about getting the ball into the guys quickly, accurately, and they're the ones that need time. And that I would argue that till I'm blue in the face with anybody you put me in front of.
Graeme, thanks so much for joining us. Graeme Souness will be back with us, of course, Monday from 10 to 1. So there we go. Jack, the ball is back in your court, but when you get it, move it quickly.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.